Hi everyone. For today's card I thought I'd make an anniversary card for hubby. We've been married 13 years almost. So I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I have done this in the past where I'm masking off areas to create a one layer card. So if you think about the images that you want in front, that's what you layer first. So you would stamp the first layer. That's going to be the one that's going to be in the forefront of the image. And then I'm going to mask that off. I've just used some post-it tape here, but you can use masking paper. And you'll actually see in a bit that I mask off like a moon, which is this bit here. And this way, this is actually from an old Halloween project from I think 2016 maybe, if you want to check it out. And so I just reused that, but that's actually masking paper. So I'm taking some Distress Oxide ink in Forest Moss, and I used a pencil to draw just a line of like what would be the ground. But be aware that when you put ink or color or if you paint over it, you will land up covering that pencil line. So if you don't want it there, just be aware of how far up or how far over that pencil line you go, so that you can try and erase it, which is what I'm going to try and do here. And mostly you can't see it at the end, so it worked out all right for me. I also just showed there how I clean my brushes off. These aren't the life-changing brushes, I think they're called, but they are just makeup brushes that I bought on Amazon, and they work really well for what I'm doing here. So I've got quite a few different types of inking mediums. I think it's good to try them all, or as many as you can, and find alternatives if your budget can't allow for some of the products that are out there. And this what I did was I started with faded jeans around the edge of the moon and then spread it out so that it sort of faded out. And then I went in with chipped sapphire, which I think is slightly darker. That was my hope. And again, just sort of kept blending it out until it was, sort of faded out on the edges, which I thought looked quite cool for a night sky. You could even go in with a little bit of black soot as well if you wanted to, just to really darken that edge around the moon. I've got a sprayer now. This is a Tim Holtz Distress sprayer, and I love this thing. You don't need this thing. You can just flick water on and let it sit for a couple of seconds, maybe 30 seconds if that, and it just lifts the color off and gives you this really cool splatter effect, or water droplets, whatever you want to call it. So here you can see the moon starting to appear, so I'm just keeping that for next time. And the same goes for this. Oh, I didn't say what stamp set I'm using. I'm using the I can't remember. Right, so this is mustard seed for my moon, and I realized that actually it's easier to get the put the mask back for the little animals, so that I don't mess up the stamped image that I've got there. So that's why I've put that back. So the stamped images of the little ones, the bears, I think they're bears, is the Lawn Fawn Winter Skies. So I'm actually today using a winter or Christmas themed stamp set, and you'll see in a bit the Lawn Fawn Forest Feast, which is a full stamp set, and I'm actually using those to create an anniversary card. So I think if you can have a look at the things that you own to see what you can come up with and different ways that you can use it, and I think that this worked out really well. This is just some old school Adirondack pearl paint, and as you saw there, I just put it down on the media mat and just flicked it onto the panel. Now I'm going to colour these guys in. So to do that, I'm using some Distress Oxide inks here. I've got Evergreen Bough for their scarf, and I love that the scarf is wrapped around both of them. I thought that was very anniversary romance ninja thing. And then I have 2 shades of brown. So again, these are all oxides. Let me just check what colours that. So brushed corduroy and vintage photo were the 2 shades of brown. And when some of it's dried a little bit, I'll then go back in and try and add a bit of depth, because these are oxide inks. They do react really well. I mean, they just react to, like, the techniques and that you can do with them is just bonkers. But you'll see in a minute, I'll also put on trying to add some sort of texture to the scarf, just so it looks a little bit like textural. And then I've also splattered the moon, and I thought that actually worked out quite well and looked really quite cool. So now I'm taking some which one's this? Mossy Meadow, not Mossy Meadow, Forest Moss, wrong company. Oxide again, same as the ground, and I just created a shadow underneath the 2 of them, because if you think of them sitting under the moon, the moonlight coming down creates shadows. I've got some Night of Navy cardstock here, and I'm using a anti-static powder tool. That's an EK Success one. I'm also using, I don't know the name of it, but the white VersaFine ink. You could use Versamark just as well. I just thought I'd give it a whirl for a change, and some Stampin' Up! White, Whisper White embossing powder to create my sentiments. Now, I wanted to keep this somewhat simple on the card. I think it lends itself to the sentiment as well, and the sentiment is what I've got from Lawn Fawn's Forest Feast stamp set. So like I say, if you have a look at and try and think outside of specific genres with your stash and the things that you own, then you'll find that you can use them for so many different things. So apologies here, because obviously I got right in the way. The arm of the cutter got in the way. This is just a Tim Holtz paper trimmer. So here I've moved so that you can actually see what I'm doing. So I'm just cutting those pieces of cardstock, those sentiments, into sort of like blocks. And I actually really love this look. So you don't have to emboss the image, the sentiments or anything. You can just, use a white cardstock with a color or whatnot. This is actually a Night of Navy, and it's a 5x7 card, and my husband's always saying about me making bigger cards, so I thought, well, anniversary, why not? So that's what I did here. And I actually cut the panel down slightly. I struggled to get the front of a card on the front of the whole front of the card, so if that makes sense. So I actually like it where it's got a little bit of a border, and that also brings out the blue or the navy that I've used there. And I've just popped it up, the sentiment, on some foam tape, and that is it. That is the card for today. So very simple, but I think the technique is very cool, and I hope you give it a try. Thanks for watching, and thanks for all your support and your love and your subscribings. Please don't forget, if you're not a subscriber yet, to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss any crafty stuff from me, and I hope to see you in the next one, guys. Bye. Oh, happy anniversary, babe. Bye.